topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
And welcome to Triversity Talk. It's Wednesday, and you're here with me, Wendy Stewart, your hostess with the mostest. Always happy to see everybody on Wednesday night. And it has been quite a busy last few days at Triversity. Thank you to everyone who came and supported our event, the Triversity Garden Party, hosted by Tamara Chant in her backyard. Listen, I don't know about you, but I love parties in backyards on beautiful days. And even though the sun was kind of in and out, it was out mostly. And we all had a wonderful time. And we had a great mix of people that came to support our organization. And I think one of the things that was so fun for me, I was able to donate a huge gift basket that I had won at another organization that I work with in New York. I'm a member of the Imperial Court of New York. We had our Springtime in Paris show. I won the big kahuna, the big basket. This thing weighed a ton, and it had everything but the kitchen sink in it. But as you can well imagine, I go to so many parties and events and win so many things. I end up trying to give it away, right? Because there's always someone in need and there's great ways to pay it forward. So that's what ended up happening. And a lucky person that came to the Triversity Garden Party got to win it, which made me happy. Now, tonight is a really special night besides the guests that I have coming on, which is perfect for what I'm going to talk about tonight. We are honoring at our high school tonight a student that has had excellence, academic excellence, and really embodied their years at Delaware Valley High School, being their own selves, basically who they are. I am what I am. And Triversity was promoting a You Belong, You Matter campaign. And again, we were looking for a student that was going to get this amazing $2,000 scholarship. Can you imagine? In the name of a friend of mine who is not here now, Stephen W. Kroll. And the scholarship is going to be presented by his husband, Dennis Grzowski. So, you know what? When it comes to philanthropy, that is the thing that makes me happy. And I'm just so excited that all of Triversity is at our local high school tonight. And as we like to say, paying it forward. I'm just going to read a little bit, a little something that came from the program that they just sent me. At Triversity, we believe, as Stephen did, in the value of celebrating each other and our authentic identities. In his memory, we're offering this scholarship to a student who supports their peers and embraces the spirit of inclusion and the ideal that when we hold each other up, the entire community benefits. So, I mean, I can't think, I'm so proud right now, I could just burst. And coincidence being what it is, the guest that we have coming on tonight believes in combining politics with philanthropy. They are originally from New Jersey and is now with the Imperial Court of Nebraska Foundation. I'm calling tonight's segment When Politics and Philanthropy Come Together. I had the pleasure of meeting this amazing person in person at our Night of 1,000 Gowns. And I'm just so excited to present to you, Craig Singletary. Thank you. And there you are.
Thank you for having me tonight, Wendy.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you. And it's like magic, Craig. All of a sudden, there you are virtually. Incredible.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. This is a great opportunity for the two of us.
Oh, absolutely. Because I'm excited to talk about everything that you're doing. And I mean, when I saw you at Night of 1,000 Gowns, you were not yet disclosing that you were going to be running for emperor of the court in Nebraska. That the cat wasn't out of the bag yet. Am I correct?
That is correct. I had thinking about it, and what happened was I said, when I come back from New York, I will make a decision. And from there, I had a great time in New York. And when I came back, I said, you know what? I'm in this. The community needs me. They need my voice.
Yeah. Yeah, they need who you are and what you can do. And, I don't have to remind you now more than ever, now more than ever, they need what you can bring to the party. So you're coming to us tonight from Nebraska, yeah?
Yes, I am. I'm your current Mr. Gay Omaha.
Mr. Gay, Omaha, Nebraska. Now, Craig, I don't know much about Omaha except Omaha steaks. And I'm sure anyone who's listening knows about Omaha steaks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do.
Tell us a little bit about what the LGBTQ environment is in Omaha, Nebraska.
Well, right now, Wendy, it's been really great. We have the Imperial Court Nebraska Foundation. We've been out there fundraising all year round with this reign. We've had so much money raised, and it's been amazing. We've had our setbacks. I don't know if you kept up with what happened in Nebraska a couple years ago with LB 574, which was the anti-trans bill.
I remember that. I didn't know the number of the bill, but I do remember that. Could you go into that a little bit more?
Yes, what that bill did was, it was called the Let 'Em Grow Act. It was to get the youth so that they could not get their hormones, and it was a real big deal. It was something that started in the beginning of the session. We had state senators who actually came out full force against it. We had state senators who came out full force in favor, and it became what you would call a bloodbath on the legislature floor.
Wow. What year was that?
I want to say that was 2023, because Queen Nicole came and she gave an award to the one state senator who was really pushing against that bill.
And at that time, Biden was president, and that bill never went through.
No, it did not, but unfortunately, it passed in Nebraska.
It passed in Nebraska. So I haven't talked to anyone from a state where a bill like that has passed. What are people doing in Nebraska that need to get their hormones?
It's been difficult because tonight they are doing their final round on LB 89, which is the bathroom bill. Again, another anti-trans bill. And the one thing is that I know state senators by first name. I was out there in March in the legislature talking to my state senator and other state senators. The good thing that came out of that discussion was LB 371, which is the anti-drag bill that came up a couple years ago. My state senator said it's never going to come out of committee, because after they learned what the drag queens do in the state of Nebraska and how much money they all raised, they decided they did not want to take that bill out of committee.
And they did. And I'm glad you threw in how much money they raise, right? So, because at the end of the day, what do we say? Money talks. So that bill didn't go through.
No, that bill will never come out. It will not come out of committee. But the one tonight, unfortunately, is a final reading before it goes to vote.
Oof. Wow. But yet, in Omaha, I imagine if you're LGBTQ, you're better off being in Omaha than in other parts of Nebraska, right?
Pretty much. I mean, we are the largest city in the state,
Yeah.
next to Lincoln, and then to Grand Island, it comes in third, or
Okay.
Bellevue Island. But the thing for us is, we're still out there doing the fundraising. We're still trying to, empower in the community. We are still trying. We even have our scholarship program. So I want to congratulate your scholarship recipient tonight.
Oh my
because
God! Thank you.
we actually push our scholarship with the Procore Nebraska Foundation. We do. Our scholarship presentation is going to be June 13th. So I'm excited to actually get out there and meet the recipients.
How great. How great. I have to admire the work you do, because in Pennsylvania is parts of it are tough, and where Triversity is located, although we have a lot of support now, and we are only 1 hour and 45 minutes from New York City, and New York City, it's very easy to do things here, as you know. But when I meet someone like yourself that comes on that I know is from another state, where I read about all these things going on, I love talking to them in person, and I admire your work, because it's really difficult. It's got to be really difficult in a place like that. How do you just keep going and creating support for the LGBTQ community?
Wendy, I'm an old school type of guy. There are days when I keep getting up, like, why am I continuing doing this? Shouldn't we pass this by now? I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah, I know.
In philanthropic work. And it's like, I was hoping I could, finally pass the torch. But unfortunately we keep getting moved backwards and backwards.
Yeah.
And I find it very hard. I'm a scholarship recipient myself from PFLAG.
Wait, are you a 3-time scholarship recipient? From PFLAG, right? That's amazing.
And
3 times. I have to shout that out. Not once, not twice, but three times. And yeah, you're paying it forward now.
I am. But the great thing is that I was married. Now, my husband at the time was a college professor. So none of us can really be out as in the traditional sense. For me, everything I did was behind the scenes. Because
wow.
at the time in Florida, you'd be fired just on the accusation of being gay. Back in 2005.
Right. Well, okay, but yeah, I'm thinking about now too, Craig. Because the governor of Florida passed all those things, and I never followed up. If you recall, there was so much in the news, and then it just got overshadowed. What is going on in Florida right now?
Well, to be honest, Wendy, I don't really keep up with Florida. It's hard to keep with one state. But when I lived in Florida, it was not as conservative as it is now.
Okay.
The northern part, yes, when you hit that, which we in Florida we call the Bible Belt. I'm sorry to your listeners, but that's what we called it.
Well, that's it. Right. We all know about it, right?
And when you go down past Orlando, it was much more what you would call liberal.
Right.
So you had that split. Now I'm noticing with Florida on how it shifted. But back in 2005, I lived there from 2005 to 2012. But when I lived there, you could be fired just on the accusation.
Wow.
When they put my picture in the paper for the scholarship, I panicked. My boss said, Craig, your job is safe here. You don't have to worry. And that made a big difference to me.
Right.
But I thought for sure I was on the chopping block just for being outed.
Oh, yeah. Well, something as innocent as being an award recipient, my God, which should be celebrated. Now, like what happened to you, you have to worry about being a target.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
my husband was very politically active, more front and center than me.
Okay.
And he actually took on the KKK over the name of a high school.
Whoa. Okay. You're doing stuff. I'm a city girl, but now we're really getting into it. We just went from the Bible Belt. So you had an active KKK organization?
Yes,
What
in
part of
Georgia.
Florida? What part of
I was
Florida
in
was it?
Jackson. I was in Jacksonville, but a lot of the members were in Georgia who were stirring things up.
Oh yeah,
My address actually appeared on their website at one time.
on the KKK website. Wow.
Hmm.
Wow,
Over the name of the school.
that is really scary.
And what happened was, my husband and I, we had a fight over it because I wrote to the school board. I wanted them to thank him for his passion. But after talking about the threats that were going on, I had to urge them to try to do a no vote because I was worried.
Yeah, of course.
And so he was more front and center than me, but I worked behind the scenes. And that was more comfortable for me on the grounds of I'm still going to college. I'm on a scholarship. And the one thing I did not want to do, because PPAC is a 501c3, I did not want to do anything that was going to disrupt that. Even though I was working on political campaigns at the time, but I could not discuss the campaigns that I was working on in those settings
Absolutely.
because you cannot mix the politics with the philanthropic.
Right. Especially
Mhm.
as I learned also, when you're working with non-for-profits, right? You can't tell people who to vote for or anything. You can have discussions of things, but there's a very fine line with 501c3s.
There were, especially when I would get up on when they ask you to give a speech for your scholarship, and I would get up there and actually give my political speeches. I
Wow.
would get up there. I'm a born politician, Wendy. I've been in politics. I love politics since I was 7 years old.
I love
And
that.
when I was 12, I did a scrapbook on the current president back from '96. The only thing my mother discouraged was me wanting to be first lady.
Ah, Mom, I want to be first lady when I grow up.
Well,
But
and the reason for that I'll tell you the reason, because I wanted to have political power without getting elected.
that's hilarious, right? And you were 7 years old and you knew how it worked. I'm curious,
Sure.
how did you, this started with you really young. Were either of your parents into politics or a relative, somebody that you emulated?
No, actually, it was Nickelodeon. They used to do a thing called The Kids Pick the President, where you get to call in and vote.
I
So
remember
in the
that.
mock election, and I got involved by watching the mock elections.
That's amazing.
Our elementary school would have mock elections for the governorships, and it was always fun to actually get in that process. That's how I actually became so in fourth grade, one of my friends was running for student president, and I was kind of his campaign manager.
Wow, that's amazing. So you knew like early on. What do you think it was about that I didn't get involved in any of that till I was way older. I didn't even think about it when I was in school. What, younger, grammar school and junior high. What was it that appealed to you, Craig?
Well, as one who is a big fan of John and Jacqueline Kennedy, I
Yeah.
wanted to be a senator from New York. That was one of my dreams, to be a senator from New York, just like John Kennedy.
So you really, John Kennedy was a big influence for you. I mean, those were in many ways, what did they call it? Camelot. They called it Camelot in this country. And the assassination of him put us into a whole other trajectory that we have not recovered from, I feel.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And Wendy, you look at John and you look at Jackie. John was a very smart man.
Yeah.
But I got tired of reading about the presidents in school. So I started reading about the first ladies on my own. And Jacqueline Kennedy was a very smart woman, spoke slick languages.
Yeah.
When John would give when John would give a speech to the Latino community, she would come behind him and say and give a speech in Spanish for those who did not understand the English.
I never knew that. And I love that you're sharing that with us. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't know that. Wow.
And imagine, and you think about today where they're trying to push this English only, or they're trying to push this, you have to look a certain way. Yeah. And here you have John, Jack, and Kennedy actually able to talk to people who are different and still making sure that they heard the same message.
Because it was important to her that they heard the message, because she valued, and I'm using the word valued, all different kinds of people.
Well, Wendy, I'll say this. A lot of her jewelry that she had was fake. And the reason for that was when she went overseas, they would give a gift of jewelry. Well, Jackie always felt that she was a representative of the American people. Therefore, the gift was not to her, but to the American people. So without insulting other countries, she would replicate it and then donate the original to a museum.
That's another little tidbit that I had no idea. That's great. That is absolutely great.
So for me, Wendy, looking at Jackie Kennedy and the way that she looked at and valued humanity and the American people, is one reason. This is one reason that I look at them and say, that's who I want to be like.
Yeah. I hear you. And you've worked with a number of campaigns.
I have. I have met many, many political figures over the years. And you're like, how do you get so close?
I love that you met. So can you name a couple that really put a lasting impression on you?
I met Senator Amy Klobuchar 5 times, but I campaigned for her back in from 2019 to 2020. Well, when I got to meet Michelle Obama, I shook her hand, said, Michelle, I'm going to kiss from the first lady. She raised up their arms like this, gave me a kiss on the cheek, and gave me a look like, I got your vote.
That's really amazing,
And George McGovern, I really stood out to me. Yes, he did. Because he was somebody that, during the feminist movement, that the feminists were going towards when Shirley Chisholm was running against him.
My God, these names are such blasts of the past. It's funny. I remember them all. You don't look old enough to have even been in any one of their campaigns. So funny. But what an inspiration.
Well, I would say this, Wendy. We talked the first ladies, but I'll tell you, my favorite first lady is Edith Wilson.
And tell me why.
Because when Woodrow got ill, his advisors had to come to her to have bills signed because she wouldn't allow any of them in his room. Well, historians went back and looked at documents before he got ill and after, and realized the signatures do not match. They believe she was forging his name, having her making executive decisions, technically making her the first female president.
Wow. Have you ever gone on any of those trivia shows or like Jeopardy? You would be like killing them in this category, Craig. You know all this stuff. This is really great stuff, right?
Actually, Wendy, so I'll give you a funny story real quick. So back in 2010, I took my brother and sister to DC for the first time. We went to the First Lady's gown room, and they had they had the gowns from Mamie Eisenhower to Michelle Obama. Well, I'm discussing the different first ladies and the gowns to my brother and sister. Pretty soon, by the time I got to Jackie Kennedy and Lady Bird Johnson, I noticed that people were like following behind my brother and sister. They thought I was giving a tour for the Smithsonian Institute.
Wow.
And my brother was so embarrassed, and I told the people, no, I'm not with the Smithsonian. No, I'm not giving a tour, but if you want to follow along with us, I will be happy to answer any questions. Just remember, I'm not with the Smithsonian, so do not take everything I say, or I cannot answer all your questions. But they were so happy. But my brother and sister's looks on their faces were embarrassment that I thought people thought I was giving a tour.
Oh my God, that's absolutely so funny. Listen, Craig, I really I admire your commitment. And let's talk about your commitment. Why are you so committed to making things equal and making things right? What is it about you?
Well, Lindy, the thing is, it's all about, we talk about togetherness. We talk about unity. We talk
Yeah.
about, Mama Jose believed that together we are stronger, divided to pick us off one by one.
And I just
And I have
you referenced Mama Jose. I want to share that most of our listeners, because we're all over the country, many do not know what the Imperial Court is, which is the head of the Imperial Court is Mama Jose. And what the Imperial Court does with chapters all over the country, they raise money for, I had been saying other LGBTQ organizations, but it's way beyond that. It's other LGBTQ organizations, or they go into nursing homes and they perform. It's 100% philanthropic, and it's quite an amazing thing. I'm proud to be a member of the Imperial Court in New York, and the reason I joined is because, my God, look, every single thing they do is to raise money, and many of us, we can't write that fat check that we wish we could. But when you're part of an organization like this, there's the unity in the community, and you all raise money together. And then when you see what that money can do, it's so gratifying and so fulfilling.
It really is. And so we have this, some of us have the issue where, we have to be united from the inside out.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we get to that point where, we can't necessarily control members or sit there and say, you need me to do this or try to do this. What you have to do is you have to let people go out and explore for themselves on what they want to do in the community. You have to let them explore new ideas. You have to be able to be open to those.
Yes, to be open
And
to the new ideas.
and for me, it's all about being a humanitarian. You if you see somebody struggling, you try to help them. No matter, and even if putting on a drag show, you're helping them.
Yeah.
And think about the people you're helping without even knowing their name when you do those fundraising activities.
Right. You don't know who's going to benefit, but the one thing you are guaranteed, that an individual person, when I think of some of the organizations, the Tyler Clemente Foundation, what they do, what Trinity House does for teens, that someone's going to benefit and that you have made a difference in their life. But I think it stems back to what you said, Craig. You're a humanitarian. Like, a lot of people have said to me, how is it you've been for so many years involved with the LGBTQ community, and you do this, you do that? Because I am a humanitarian, and this is just how it's played out. But also, like you, I saw you also, you work with raising money for Senior Dog Foundation.
We do. So Promise for Paws Senior Dog Rescue, they are a 501c3. So 8 years ago, I saw a dog in California, and I said, that's my dog. I networked for over a week on my own, went back into a mid-pin group, got some help, and what happened was I contacted them, Promise for Paws, and they were actually in Missouri Valley at the time. And so they said, well, Craig, here's the thing, we have a connection in California. We will be happy to help you. This is a near impossible thing, but we'll get this done. We ended up getting Edgar out of a kill shelter.
Wow.
And what's funny was the lady who helped me rescue the connection in California, her brother-in-law lived in Council Bluffs, Iowa, which is right across the river, literally across the bridge. So he drove Edgar home. And that's how I got involved with them. And I've been doing fundraising for them since.
And I think that's beautiful. Now, Edgar is yours. And how old is Edgar?
16.
Right, because I was doing the math. You picked up Edgar 8 years ago, and he was in a kill shelter. So I was thinking, middle age probably. Wow. Mm-hmm. And what a gift for you to give Edgar, and for Edgar to give to you, right? And that we can have this discussion here, because that's a very beautiful thing that you did.
So I hosted my first court show for them last year, and it was a huge success.
Wow.
we raised over $900 for them last year, and I was just a little bit under this year for the same show. So I call it Bark Wars.
What's it called?
Bark Wars. It's a sci-fi theme show, Bark Wars.
I got it. That's incredible. Now, also, when I was perusing your Facebook page, you were involved with a goat rescue. Can you share that with us?
So I'll try to keep this short. So my friend Letty and I were, at a farm, and the owner said that the goat was a liability, and it was old, and he was going to shoot it the next day.
Oh my God!
So she came over to me and says, "Craig, what can we do?" I said, "Well," so she called Humane Society. Humane Society said, "Well, we don't have a drop box." The animal control said, as long as it's getting food, water, shelter, it's the owner can do what he wants with it. So I ended up calling.
I have to stop right there. That is so awful. Like, you're calling and saying the owner is going to shoot this dog. Somebody should have come and grabbed that dog right away. And then I'm just totally shocked. Okay, go on.
It's a goat. So the thing was, I found a goat sanctuary about an hour and a half away from where we were. So what we did was, there's this big storm coming through, and we go pick up her son. We put the seats down in her SUV. We go grab the goat, and we're actually driving into this storm to go an hour and a half away. Wendy, it was so bad, we were doing 15 and 75, and people were flashing their high beams at us.
Wow. And you've got a goat. Now let's have the whole picture. You have a goat was it an SUV or a regular car?
It was in her SUV, and when we went to go get gas, she went into the thing. So we have a goat, and I have a goat in the back of my car right now. Can I cut the line? They looked at her like she was strange. Let her go ahead and do that, just so we can get on the way with this goat. We get there, and we were like this. Like, we were on the road calling all of our friends, saying this is the craziest thing we've ever done. And guys, we're going through a storm right now. I mean, the lightning was lighting it up like the 4th of July. It was that bad.
Was the goat going, like, was he making goat sounds?
No, the goat was actually just quiet. It wasn't until I got like 17 minutes. We were about 17 minutes away, and they started getting antsy.
Or goatsy, not antsy. You meant to say goatsy.
I like that. So we get there. So we actually get there, and what was great was the lady, when we talked about doing a fundraiser for her organization, said, we want to put a drag show on. Her girl's like, "I'm a lesbian. This is great. We love this." And she says, "Craig, in college, I learned how to do my makeup thanks to the drag queens."
I love this.
So it was great that we found a GLBTQIA plus friendly or goat sanctuary.
Only you would have divinely attracted that. No, I would have too, because they would have just been there. That would have totally happened. First of all, there's a lot of messages in this story. You stuck your neck out. Okay. You got involved, and you could have just walked out of that restaurant and not given a hoot, and that goat would have been killed the next day. It's the fact that you got involved, and then you went, you couldn't take the goat home. You had to go find a place that would take the goat. You actually put yourself and your friend in peril because you were driving in terrible weather. But you got to where you were going, and the universe rewarded you with a goat sanctuary where, of course, the owner was a lesbian and learned how to do her makeup from drag shows. The whole story, I didn't know the whole story. You only put part of it up on Facebook. It's an incredible story, and it's an amazing story about humanitarianism, generosity, unity, and love. And God bless you for doing that. Well, listen, you sent us a great video, so I want to play the video and then talk a little more about the Imperial Court, but I love the goat story, and I was going to make you tell it. Okay, Juan, we're ready for the video.
Put your hands together for Craig Singletary!
Swallowing sand left with nothing to say. My voice drowned out in the thunder, but I won't cry, I won't start to crumble.
Yes. Very powerful performance. I love that. What is that song from?
That song is from the live action movie Aladdin. I did a male cover of it. That was done here. That was our snowball fundraiser that we did in February here in Omaha. And it was something that we had just come out of the election. And I wanted to make sure people know that we're not going to go speechless. They're not going to be able to take us down. They're not going, as Mr. Gay Omaha, we are not going to let it happen.
Right, right. You're not going to let it. That was a really beautiful, very powerful performance. And I could see all of those things in your performance. Wow. And the fact that, pardon the pun, that you had to get it up in February when people like in January, I'm telling you, and I talked about this on my afternoon show today, people were putting where their faces were on Facebook, black boxes, okay? Leaving, just shutting down in so many ways. And there you were out there, bigger, brighter, stronger than ever, and nothing was going to stop you. It was a perfect piece.
Well, thank you. That was actually one of my most powerful performances. Because when I came to New York in April, I did a song "You'll Be Found" and pulled
I
the
saw
flag.
that performance. That was at our out of town show on Friday night.
Mm-hmm. Because I want to also bring that same message to New York.
Yes.
Because Wendy, I want to say about the court for New York. I love what you all do. I love to seeing your emperor and empress get on the community. I love seeing how you all get out there and fundraise the way that you do. And I am so glad the Night of 1,000 Gowns actually was very successful this year.
Very.
As to how much money was raised.
Yeah, we raised a ton of money. And yeah, when you think of the year that it's happening in, it had to be successful. And next year's has to be successful. And you know what? We just have to keep moving ahead, moving forward, pushing back, all of us where we need to do that, right? Because that's really what it's about now. Sometimes, though, I'm sure you experience this. I've interviewed a lot of people. They say, you know, sometimes it's just so damn hard. I want to give up. And now I really feel like, what am I doing and why am I doing it? How do you keep yourself from feeling that way?
That's actually a good question because, you know, I'm already, I'll tell you this, Wendy, I'm 5 days in this campaign. I'm going to tell you, it's not easy. It's this whole ordeal is not easy.
Right.
You know, you have to remember, we're all coworkers in this.
Yeah.
And my feeling is, and I'll be very blunt, you know, we should be working together. And the one thing is, I feel that some things that deflate me is that when people bring their baggage and don't leave it outside the venue, but they bring it in, and it kind of defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do together. And when people make that noticed, and so to me, that's kind of like a deflating thing. It's like, okay, this is not what we should be about. You know, you come in here, we should be working together, and we leave our personal things on the outside. Because
that's
just like
I agree wholeheartedly, but I work with a number of organizations, and I find that this exact thing is something I run into again and again and again. And in terms of my own self, I don't run for, I do, how can I put it? I do things very unofficially. Like there's never a title, but I do the thing. And I never want a title. I've had so many people say to me so many times, oh, you need to be on this board or that board. I'm like, no, thank you. I like to fly under the radar to get stuff done. So, you know, if you're running for emperor, that's a big decision, because now, and you know what I'm going to say, you've made yourself, you're like, hey, I'm here. You can take a shot at me.
Correct. And to me, I'll say this, Wendy. When we talk about politics, we talk about politics a lot tonight. You know, the one thing for me is I get tired of negative campaigning on all levels, because to me, it's like, okay, we see politicians on stage getting into what we call food fights, and then at the end we get when they get one candidate, you all expect everybody to come in and come all togetherness with their supporters and vote for one person.
Right.
Well, why should I vote for somebody who literally trashed my candidate in those ways, as I see it? And so to me, negative campaigning only adds division in what we're trying to create when we talk about unifying.
Yeah, I
And
hear
you
you.
know, it's one thing when politicians are on stage having a discussion or a debate. It's another thing when they start getting insulting and bringing up past things that are not as relevant today as they were then.
Well, we're
And
calling
that
mudslinging. Mudslinging's the word. They call that
thank
mudslinging,
you.
right? Yeah.
And you know, we used to call it trash talk.
No, right. You're right. They are. It's the same thing. They're trash talking. Even I'm sure you saw the political commercials that ran this campaign. The really awful trash talking. And I agree with you. If you're going to go down like that, I'm not going to trust to vote for you because you went somewhere that I personally think is ugly.
Correct. And so when we talk about when we talk about unifying, we talk about unity. That does not unify. That kind
Right.
of divides because the thing is, you never know who the person you're talking to, if they
Yeah.
may have had a similar experience, and then you may just cost yourself a vote in that way. So when we look at politics, in any way you're thinking, you have to remember positivity conquers all. That love conquers all, and
Yeah.
you don't want to get down the mud because most people want to walk around the mud pile and actually just walk on by.
And that is very well put. They don't want to get the mud on their shoes. I'll add that into it.
Mhm.
That is exactly right. Well, I
Thank you.
love that your campaign is going to be, unity, which is great. And yeah, this is really exciting. I don't know who you're running against, but I know you're going to take the high road.
I pretty much do. For me, Wendy, I'm a bridge builder. I have
Yes.
built bridges from Nebraska all across the Imperial Court system from coast to coast. When I'll tell you this, Wendy, when people didn't let me play in the sandbox years ago, I found people I can swing with, and that's how I got well known in other courts.
Well, I know you said something about being an outsider and how
Yeah.
that made you feel. And and I think that's a term that a lot of people can relate to.
Mhm.
And it's not about getting on the inside. It's being an outsider, being able to stand alone, being able to attract other outsiders and getting stuff done and creating a community around yourself because you did that.
Well, see, Wendy, it's great. It's a great thing you bring that up because, see, my campaign slogan is "Enhance the unity in community." Because
Yeah.
the thing is that what we forget is, a lot of us are stuck. I'll say a lot of us are in the bar scenes, but we forget about we forget about the business owners that support what we do. We forget about the organizations that we support and support what we do. We forget
Right.
about those who can have to be silent allies because of the conservatism that we live in today.
Yeah.
Also, those who don't know who we are that we need to be reaching out to. Those are all part of the word community. It's not just these people within your members within the organization. It's everybody because again, we're the LGBTQIA plus.
Yeah.
We're not, and so I'll be honest, I'm the old school. To me, when I grew up, it was GLBT.
Yeah, hello.
It,
I came out at the same time you did, actually, way before you did. And yeah, there were, a couple of letters, but, things have changed. And right now, if we're going to go for unity, we have to honor every letter. We have to honor people's fluidity. And you can't afford to have factions in the community. Everybody's got to be on the same page. And, that is what we got to do. If you can believe it, we only have a few minutes left. And real quick, how did you become a Trekkie?
I grew up with Star Trek. I love space. I love the space race. Because again, Kennedy wanted to go to space.
Right.
He wanted to go to the moon. So I've actually enjoyed space. I love space. I love watching things on other planets. So I was always one of that. Science, math were always two of my favorite subjects.
You were a science math one. I kind of figured that about you. Wow. Wow. Well, space is something I know a lot about, and that's a whole other show because I know people that are working on all that stuff as a member of the Explorers Club. And when I'm there, I talk to people. I'm like, well, tell me what you do. Oh, I'm an astronaut. They thought, or I invented the robotics that we have up at the space station. Craig, it totally blows my mind. It would totally blow yours too. That's a whole other show. But on this one, I just want to thank you, first of all, for everything you're doing, for being here with me tonight. And I'm wishing you a very, very successful campaign. And I can't wait to see. I'm just going to just dance naked with a chicken so that you win.
Well, thank you so much, Wendy.
Hold you in their favor. And I always like to take a parting picture before we go. So just bear with me. I like taking it on the computer. Cheese. I take a couple. And one more. Fabulous, Craig. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight on Triversity Talk. And I look forward to your next trip when you come to New York.
I look forward to that too.
But we'll be in touch on social media, as we say. Thank you again.
Follow me.
Yes,
please do.
You're right. You're findable. It's Craig, and you have 2 initials in the middle of your Facebook page. It's Craig. Okay.
AM, yes.
AM Singletary. Yep. Thank you, everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you, Craig, for being a guest. Thank you, Juan, for making the technical parts of this possible. Good night, everybody. We'll be back next week. Bye-bye.